Hello, everybody, and welcome. So, this morning I woke up and I was thinking about frequency, and vibration, and how much frequency has changed my life in only the most beautiful ways. So, I wanted to share with you the simple things that I've done to align myself with really being mindful of my frequency, and then talk to you about some of the miraculous things that have happened in my life because of doing this and making these conscious changes in my thinking, really. So, when it comes to frequency, we as people, as humans, we are like these giant gauges for frequency. We can have a very high frequency, or we can be on the lower end. And what you have on the high end of the frequency gauge are things like joy, exhilaration, gratitude, those things that feel good to the body. And what you're going to have on the lower end are very low vibrational feelings like guilt, shame, anger, those kinds of things that don't feel good to the body. So that kind of gives you an idea. And then somewhere in the middle are all of these other types of emotions and feelings that we can have. The thing is about being a human gauge for this is that we have the ability to change it. Now, this part is what can really change your life. This doesn't cost any money to do. This is going to cost some time, a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of study, but just some consistency with a few practices. So frequency, it's what everything is made up of: energy, frequency, and vibration. And Nikola Tesla, he's our big frequency guy that knew so much beyond his years about frequency. So, not that many people talk about frequency. Not that many people just talk about it because it almost sounds too good to be true, that you can change your frequency in such a way that you draw into your life what you really want. Okay? You get what you are. You get back the frequencies that you emit. So if we can be conscious enough to realize what we're thinking about and where we're falling on that gauge that I'm talking about, we can change that and then be more consistent with how we're feeling. Because that feeling, how we feel, is the magnetic part of what pulls things in to our lives. And this is just true story stuff. And it's like, when I finally really realized these things, I was able to begin to apply some of these things daily and truly change my life. So, thoughts do become things. You've heard of the law of attraction. You've heard of you get what you are. What you send out comes back to you. This is very, very true. So wouldn't it make sense that we need to pay attention to how we're feeling and how we're thinking? We really do need to pay attention to that. So before I learned how to do these things, and I'm going to go into some of those details in just a minute, before I learned how to think in terms of higher vibrations and higher frequencies, I had a lot more depression in my life. I had a lot more anxiety in my life, a lot more unhappiness, a lot more just not feeling balanced, those kinds of things. And I had more drama in my life. It's like I was attracting more of what I did not want. So I was obviously thinking too much about that. I was thinking too much about that stuff that I don't want, when I needed to be thinking about the things that I do want and feeling that feeling of those kinds of things. So I want to tell you some of the things that I do that I started to do when I really noticed my life turning around. And these are very simple practices. And I will tell you that I was in a very, very depressed state at this time. This is when my spiritual awakening first began, and I was first really opening up to new ideas and new things to do and try. And so what I would do in the mornings when I was first waking up is I would make every effort that I could to do something that felt good to my soul, that felt good. So what I mean is I would, and I still do these things today, I would look at beautiful pictures on my phone, for example. I would search for beautiful landscapes because I'm a very visual person and I love nature. So I would just take in this all of these beautiful trees and flowers and rivers and mountains, and I would just fall into those pictures, looking at those and feeling that vibration of those things. So I started doing that to feed my mind with some positivity. Started doing that. The other thing I started doing with that is I would often play some music, some very healing music that felt really good to my body. Most of us have a few songs, or you may have a whole bunch of songs on a playlist that make you feel this way. So I would listen to some of this music earlier in the day, before my brain would go off on a tangent that is just a habit. Our brains will run in these loops, and it's more of a habit than anything, especially if it's not a positive loop, or a productive loop is a better word for it. So I would use this music that feels good. I would use these visuals, and I would write down, and still do, I would write down things that feel good and that I'm proud of, and that make me feel accomplished. I would not let my mind go down that track of the things that don't make me feel good, or anything that would put me in a lack mentality. So this is upside thinking. This is thinking on the upside of things and not on the downside of things. And we're always going to have both sides in life, but you have a choice on which side you're going to think about more. So when you start training your mind to feel better and relax more and fall into these things that feel good to you, what happens is you are creating new neural pathways in the brain, new paths, which make it easier and more automatic for you to feel better without doing a whole lot of extra work. It's like you're overriding the old patterns and you're creating a new way. You have the ability to do this, just like I have. And it's insane, really, if you think about it, that you can, with some consistency, with some dedication, a little bit of work on your part, work for what you want, you can change how you feel on a daily basis. So I started to do all of these things every day. The writing is a huge outlet. It also kind of focuses your thinking into one thought at a time. So the writing, the music, looking at pretty things, just filling my mind with goodness, not filling my mind with chaotic things. For example, to me, what I find chaotic is too much social media, too much news, too much stimulus and noise coming in from other sources that are not always talking about, good stuff. So I tried to focus more on the positive stuff. So this habit, this loop that our brain is running in, we can change this. When every time that we are thinking about these positive things and just trying to be in a more calm, positive state, we're building the spiritual muscles. You see me lifting those weights. We're building that spiritual muscle to where everything becomes easier and easier. So when you can start doing some of these things when you first wake up, what you're going to find is that you want to do more and more of this throughout the day, and you will do more and more of it. You'll also find that you start to catch yourself when you're going down a tunnel of maybe not feeling so good or something that may not be so positive, and you're like, I don't like how that feels. I don't like how that feels, so I'm gonna change tracks. I don't like how that feels. I want to feel better than that, and I know that I can because I have methods that can help me with this. So gratitude, the feeling of gratitude and writing about gratitude and just thinking about gratitude and things that you're grateful for automatically raises that vibration. So just thinking about certain things can totally raise your vibration. Just like thinking about other things can lower your vibration. Thinking about old hurts, dwelling on things that happened in the past that you can't control now, dwelling on this, dwelling on that. You know how the brain works. Well, those things lower your vibration and make you a magnet for more of it because that's where your attention is going. Wherever your attention is really going is what you can expect to come into your field. Okay? Think about that. That's a lot of responsibility, isn't it? So if we're conscious of what we're thinking about, what we're putting into our body spiritually, whether that be visually, through the ears, through the mouth, all of this stuff, then we can't really blame anybody else constantly for not feeling good because we have so many things we can do, ourselves. So developing those new pathways is huge. And this is something that all of the quantum physicists, the neuroscientists, the huge names out there in healing talk about all of this. And so this is not, a lot of this is fact and it's proven and it's science. Studies have been done and brain scans have been done on the way the brain changes when you are consciously focused on some of these things. So, why wouldn't you want to try it? Just try it because I'm telling you, I'm living proof alone that these things work. And the more aware you become of what you're thinking about and how you're feeling, the easier it is to keep it reined in, I'll say, and to stay on that natural flow of life and on that natural, effortless path of life, which feels good. So you want to do this consistently, and you want to begin to speak the language of the universe and align with it. And when you're aligning with the good stuff, I'm going to call it the good stuff on that gauge, then you are speaking the language of the universe. And the universe is going to deliver the things that you're thinking about and the things that you are trying to manifest. It is listening and paying attention to you. And it is amazing how lives can truly, truly turn around when we become more conscious of energy, frequency, vibration, and thoughts, because thoughts are energy. Thoughts are energy and frequency. If we can change our thoughts, we can totally change our lives. One of my very first mentors taught me this, and it has really begun to make sense over the years, as I've begun to learn more and really apply this in my life. So you have the ability today to take control of some of this and begin to practice some of these things. So I wish you the best of luck with this. I want to thank you for showing up and for being here today and for bringing something positive into your field. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will catch you later this week on my next video.